WestLINK.
Hello, welcome to WestLINK, where we connect to talk about relevant topics. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon, and I would like to invite you to please like, comment, and subscribe to our Toronto West channel. Please bow your heads for a quick prayer. Kind Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us together this afternoon to talk about Christian education and your schools in Ontario. We want to thank you so much for this opportunity to spread information about Christian education. And we ask that you will guide this panel today to be informative, to reach other students and parents as they make decisions about your church. In your name I pray. Amen. My name is Sheldon James, and I am your host today for what we know will be a stirring discussion and debate about Christian Adventist education, the ace up the sleeve of so many of us who have been fortunate to be schooled at Crawford Adventist Academy here in Toronto and other Adventist institutions around the globe. When the coronavirus pandemic struck the GTA in 2020 and everyone scrambled to find their footing, our Adventist school system proved to be nimble and responsive to the crisis. Without large government subsidies, grants, the Toronto Adventist District School Board switched to online learning almost immediately. Through the roller coaster of in-school and online and hybrid learning, the faculty and administration, parents, and teachers found a way to make it work. Some parents lost their jobs. Some got sick. A few got discouraged. Enrollment dipped. But many continue to find a way to educate their children according to God's commands. Today, we invite you to join the conversation about the value, the challenges and successes, and future of Adventist education here in the Greater Toronto Area. In honor of the many who persevere and overcome obstacles to this prized and precious education, we have entitled it Finding a Way, because that's what so many parents do. Now, schools and students are normally preoccupied with getting students to achieve an A in their subjects. But today, we will discuss the many F's of Adventist education. The fit and features and faculty that lead our children to stay with the system. The finances and the cost of Adventist education. The facilities in which we house our students each school day, the future of this type of learning. Is this even sustainable? The 4 F's of Adventist education: faculty, finances, facilities, and future. So let's see who our panelists are today. First one up is a gentleman by the name of Sahar Dasin. This is the business manager and treasurer of the Toronto Adventist District School Board. This is the money man, everybody. Very important individual who's been a part of our system for 21 years. He keeps us solvent and keeps the books balanced. So thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Dasin.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm happy to join
in your panel. And also, thank you for the invitation.
We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much. Our next panelist, her name is Judy Bergen Hall, and really, in the interest of time, I won't give all of her accolades. I will just say that she is a very integral part of this machine that runs so smoothly at Crawford Academy and the school system. She is a principal of elementary school at the main campus of Crawford Adventist Academy. She's been going at this for over 30 years, and I can speak personally to being a product of her teaching me, and I would not be here. I wouldn't be nearly the person I am today if it were not for this individual. So I'm so happy to have her on the panel today, and so valuable. Thank you for being with us, Miss Judy Bergen Hall.
Thank you so much, Sheldon, my former student. It is my absolute pleasure, privilege, and honor to be on WestLINK today.
Great to have you, man. We have an all-star cast. Let's keep on going and see who else we have. The next individual we have as a panelist is Carolyn Lindsay. She's a parent. In her bio, she states that she's a child of God, which is wonderful. A single mother of 2 beautiful princesses, and an acute care nurse. Wow, you got a lot in your resume here, wearing a lot of different hats, as it were. And the quote you gave here, which is one of the Bible verses that I love, is that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4, verse 13. Thank you so much, Miss Lindsay.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today to share my experience through the Christian education with others. Thank you.
Great to have you. Last but not least, we have Leanne Gilbert, who is actually a student at Crawford. She is the class president of the grade 12 class of 2022 at Crawford Adventist Academy. Wow, class president. I don't think I ever rose to those levels when I was at school. Thank you for being here, Leanne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and inviting me to be on this panel. I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. Star-studded cast. And, I'm your host, Sheldon James. I'm actually a board member at Toronto Adventist District School Board, and I'm a proud product, as I mentioned before, of Adventist Education from grade 1 all the way to university. I'm a lifer. I've been in the system, and I'm a product of the system, and pretty much everybody, or many people on this panel, have influenced and interacted with me to make me into the person I am today. So welcome, everyone. Before we get into our chat, let's listen to a parent. Her name is Karina Crawford from CAA's Peel campus.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. My name is Karina Crawford, and I'm a parent of a child that goes to the Peel Crawford Academy. Now, how did I make the Christian education a priority, and why? Now, the education of our children is very important, and as parents, we should all strive to ensure that our children get a good, solid education. My husband and I see how important education is, and so we make a sacrifice each month. We see education as an important investment. As parents, we should realize that if we do not invest in our children, then no one else will. I see this as human effort combined with divine intervention, because as parents, we cannot do it on our own. Your theme says, find a way, and I can tell you, we ourselves, we couldn't find the way on our own. We left it in God's hands, and we can see that every month He has provided financially for us. Now, why do we do this? As a student of psychology, I know that the early years of a child's life, the formative years, are very important. A child needs a solid foundation, whether spiritually, emotionally, or academically. With this in mind, my husband and I wanted to ensure that our child gets a good and solid start. We were looking for consistency in morals, values, in the three places that our child spends most of the time, which is school, home, and church. I can tell you that at the Peel School, values are not just taught, they are exemplified. Our students are taught by trained Christian teachers, and that was very important for us because we wanted an environment where they were like-minded Christian people who had sound biblical principles and values. The parents, I can tell you, are very happy with the type of service that we get here. Now I can give you an example of a time when education was not just taught, it was also exemplified. I can remember during the pandemic, there was one particular day when the students were very frustrated. They looked very frustrated. They weren't paying attention and they were looked very tired. And at the time it was Mrs. Lee, it was SK. And Mrs. Lee called all the parents and she said, "Parents, let's just pause for a minute. We need to pray." I can tell you, if there was any doubt in my mind prior to that, if my child was at the right place, this erased all those doubts. This for me was very, 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 very important. And I thought that this showed that we not only strive for academics, but we put God first too. Now I'll leave you with this quote from Sister White, from Counsels to Parents, Teachers, and Students, and this is found in page 48. "There is no more important work than the education of our youths." It goes on to say, "Every influence should be brought to bear to educate the youths and to elevate their morals." Thank you.
Welcome back. Wow, powerful video. So much to unpack from that video, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on so many different aspects of what was said by Ms. Sister Crawford. However, you know, if we could speak on this, and she mentioned sacrifices, and honestly, if I could do an entire WestLINK on just this one topic, I would do so because it's so important. You know, we heard stories of parents and kids who stuck with our schools through the pandemic. You hear stories of some parents who are offering to pay double tuition or to pay for other kids who couldn't afford to go through the pandemic process to keep them at Crawford. So you hear these amazing stories, and you know, we need to shine a light on those. So you know, this question is to Mr. Dason and Ms. Bergen Hall. Probably starting with Ms. Bergen Hall. Can you share some of these stories of sacrifices and extraordinary steps that some parents took to keep their kids at Crawford?
Okay. Well, first I need to highlight that the students at Crawford are not rich. They're not from families that have a lot of money. These are a lot of parents who are struggling financially. Also a lot of single parents who are making tremendous sacrifices. Some of them, you know, they have 2 jobs, and many times they're not seeing their children. When their children come home, they're not home, and when their children leave, they're already gone to their second job. So the school steps in and helps out where they can. So that's a major sacrifice, but they trust the school to be an extension of the home. The other thing is that I've seen parents who have moved from bigger homes to smaller homes where children are now, like, there was one family that had four children in one room just to afford the rent and also afford to pay for those 4 children in Adventist Christian education. I mean, I have parents who work nights, who rush home, pick up their children and try to rush them to school to be on time for 8:45. Another sacrifice that parents make are the parents, particularly who live in the East and the West ends, and they're busing their children to Crawford. So on top of the $625 that they pay every month, they also pay an extra $150 for transportation costs. And if they have 2 or 3 children, you can imagine how that cost is going to add up a lot. But still, they're making the sacrifice because they feel and know and believe in their heart that their children are in the right place. That's just some of the stories.
Thank you so much. And I know, like I said, I'm sure we could spend hours and hours talking about all of the stories. Mr. Dason, could you share any sacrifices or extraordinary steps you've seen parents make to keep their kids in school?
Yeah. It's I cannot say it is everyone. More than 90% of our parents have different. Each has one story, and everyone is making their sacrifices. I know there is a parent who has two children in the school system, and only one person who works. The other person is still in school. So there, during the pandemic, they were affected. They didn't have anything to live on, and it was really that they approached us, and we were able to extend their payment term even after the school year ended. I have to put one more thing here. Everyone is sacrificing.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, teachers, administration, every churches, especially. But there is one greatest news, not a news, it's a reality, is the parents who not only sacrifice, they should be also take it. This is an investment they make for their children.
Absolutely.
They are investing like a mortgage for 12 to 14 years to make a home for them in heaven.
Absolutely.
That's what the bottom line is. Because even Bible says that parents get, their greatest joy is to see their children walk on truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the John says in the Bible. So that is the more important. We need to take it that they are making investment on their children to stay and love God and live by His words, and they prepare not only prepare themselves, also they engage in preparing others for the heaven.
Awesome insight,
That is
sir.
the bottom line. That
Thank you.
I always tell the parent, this is take it as an investment, not only as a sacrifice.
Thank you, sir. And so all the people who are out there listening, from the business manager's mouth, you invest now and you get your return on investment later. So thank you so much for that insight, sir. You mentioned parents who also sacrifice. So let's go to our parents now. Ms. Lindsay, can you share? You don't have to go too much into it because we'll circle back to this a little bit later. But just some of the sacrifices or extraordinary steps that either you or some of the other parents have had to do for Christian education?
Yes. One of the major sacrifices that I made was to deny myself my master's degree in nursing, which is something that I really, till this day, would love to complete. But the fact that I need to take two jobs in order to keep them both, now one is in university, and to keep them in Crawford, that was one of the sacrifices that I had to make.
Wow. Literally taking outside of your goals and dreams and pouring into that of your kids. That is an amazing feat. I'm gonna go a little bit off kilter here because this is not one of the people I was supposed to bring up, but I was thinking that when I was in school, I wasn't thinking about my parents' sacrifice at all, right? I was just pretty much going to school and complaining and what have you, and I didn't really know what was going behind the scenes, because when you're a kid, you just assume that your parents are Elon Musk or Bill Gates, and so I'll ask Leanne, are you aware of the sacrifices that are occurring on your behalf, or are you does it go over your head? Please give some insight. Do you recognize the sacrifice your parents are giving for Christian education?
Well, when I first came to Crawford in grade 1, in elementary, I think it just kind of all blew over my head. Like you're just excited to be there. You're trying to make new friends. You're trying to meet the teachers, and everything is great, and it looks like sunshine and rainbows. But I didn't really know what was going on truly behind the scenes. until like I got a little bit older, and then it's like you start to see your parents like when it's time for like, you know, school fee payments or just the little things, especially in high school. When I had to take my exams one time, there was an issue with like my accountant. You know, I was talking to my parents, and it's just they make so many sacrifices for me to even be still at Crawford in grade 12, on my way to graduation. It's just a blessing, really. And I tell my parents all the time, like, I just appreciate them so much for the sacrifice. And like Miss Bergenhall said, we're not rich. You know what I mean? We're not rich at all. But somehow, some way, my parents have put both my sister and myself through Christian education since I was in grade 1 and my sister was in JK. So that's 2 school fees every single year. And every single year we come back. So there's a lot of sacrifices being made.
Wow, very powerful, and you seem to be pretty grounded and mature that you can appreciate that even at this relatively young age. That's amazing, and I hope everybody else who's listening, if there are any other students out there listening, they understand the sacrifice and the difference between, you know, Christian education, which has a cost, and public school education, which you could have gone for free. So your parents are literally choosing this option at a personal cost to them, but as Mr. Dason said, you will get your return on investment later on. So again, we could belabor this all day long, but we got to move on to one of our other F's in our analysis. And so let's talk about faculty. They set the tone, mold young lives, take care of your precious treasures for most of the day, and they are the key element in education of our children. They are the teachers. So, what do you need to be a teacher in the Adventist school system? And where and how do you apply? I'm going to direct this first question to Ms. Bergen-Hall. Surprisingly, there's this thought out there with some church members who believe that teachers at our schools are not fully qualified and that their credentials are not up to par. Is this a myth?
That's definitely a myth. I work with a staff, and of the number that we have at Crawford, 15 teachers have their master's degree, 18 have a bachelor's degree, one has a specialist degree, and I think between 13 to 15 are certified by the Ontario College of Teachers. So that's definitely a myth. I'm going to break it up. So to be an elementary teacher, you must have a degree in education. If you don't have a degree in education, you will not be hired as an elementary teacher. So you must go through the prescribed course of study before you try to apply to our system. For high school, if they have a degree in the area of specialty. So for example, if you want to be a math teacher, you must have a degree in math. If you want to be a history teacher, you must have a degree in history. So in high school, it's more degree related, but in elementary, because of the curriculum that we run, they must have a degree in education. If you want to apply to our system, you apply through the Ontario Conference Office of Education. If you want to know what jobs are available in our system, I will direct you to the Adventist Church in Canada. It's called CAPNet. It's on their website. And that website gives you all of the jobs, not just in Ontario, but across Canada. But so those are the steps that should be taken. So this myth that's being perpetuated by people who have no idea about Adventist education, we need to put that to rest. Our teachers are qualified and overqualified if you compare some of them to the teachers in the public school system.
Wow, thank you so much for that analysis. Myth busted. You know, the statistics don't lie. You can open any agenda and see the roster of teachers as I'm looking at right now. And like as you said, there's a lot of I call them little letters written next to their names. That's what I call it. And so you can check it out for yourself. But okay, yeah, wonderful. It's all fine and dandy. They're all accredited and academically they're okay. But where's the spiritual component, right? I thought this was supposed to be a calling, and yeah, you have the credentials, but do you have the spiritual requirement? And so I'm going to direct this question to a student, because you administrative people might tell some false story just to push your agenda. So let me speak to a student to see. Do you have an example of a teacher who lived up to the calling? And what I mean by calling, obviously, is that you could be making a lot more money somewhere else as a teacher in the academic community. So this is more a spiritual and more so than a professional calling. And so do you have an example of something that a teacher does or did to make you feel more valued and loved and placed on the path to eternal life? And so this is directly related to you, Leanne. Do you have any examples of that?
My bio and chemistry teacher, Mr. Ray, shout out to him. I would say he's one of the teachers that I would say lives up to that calling. Oh, and my math teacher, Mr. Ru, both of them are great. Mr. Ray, he has like a lot of like credentials, but he always reminds us that like he's here for a reason, and he always wanted to give back to where he also graduated from and came from. And even though he teaches us bio and chemistry, you asked about like the religious component as well. Sometimes we just end up talking about specific like religious things, because his main goal, and he says this to us all the time, he just wants us to know God for ourselves. And even though you're at Crawford and you do the religion course, every year, at the end of the day, that necessarily might not do something for somebody's actual like relationship with God. But when you're able to have those like honest and open conversations without feeling judged about religion or just anything around those lines with one of your teachers that don't even teach the religion course, it's really amazing. And I mentioned Mr. Rule, my math teacher. What he did for us this year, he just goes above and beyond. He took actually a period of our math class this semester, and he just was talking to us about our mental health and just how we can, rope God into our mental health. And, he gave us food, and like, it really caught everybody off guard, because that specific day, I'm pretty sure we were supposed to have like a unit test, but then he just told everybody to go to the cafeteria, and then we're like, what's going on? And then he's like, I just really felt like you guys needed this, especially because of COVID and the constant like online, in-person battle. A lot of people are now struggling with mental health that might not have been before, and I really appreciated him for doing that.
Wow, awesome insight. Thank you so much for that. I was dreading going to math class, and you guys are getting lunch at math class. That's amazing. I got a message on the side that I should direct this question to Sister Lindsay, that she wants to give some insight on this. So, Sister Lindsay, go on ahead.
Yes, regards to the qualification of the teachers, when my daughter Lavonia started out at Crawford, she was so behind Crawford students. And they designed a study plan for her that was geared to her learning level. And at grade 2, she was reading. Within 3 months, Crawford had her reading chapter books. She was caught up to Crawford students. I've seen where I've sat in class with Mr. Rule, where he taught me grade 11, grade 12 math to help my daughter at home, and Mr. Ray, who taught my daughter investments. And these are some of the things that you will not get in public school. And I find that getting that at Crawford was one of the most important aspects of my children progressing in life. And it shows me how qualified and well educated the teachers are to get our children forward ahead.
I just wanted to add to answer Tiffany's question. Yes, you have to be a baptized Seventh-day Adventist to teach in one of our schools, in any of our schools in the Ontario Conference.
Thanks for picking that question up, Miss. I see that that came from the comment section, and so thank you for giving some insight with regards to that. Well, you've heard it from the student level, the parent level, and the admin level. Everyone, that myth has been busted. We have qualified, caring faculty at Crawford in our Christian education, and our kids, as the testimonials have gone, sometimes are taken even better care of in this scenario than they would anywhere else. So let's take this time to segue a little bit. Again, we're continuing on our F theme here, and so we're going to move on to the finances, which is always a hot button issue, right? The question is, why is Adventist education so expensive? Okay, and we're going to get into that, but we're going to take a short break, and that will be our topic when we return.
The whole person principles of the Seventh-day Adventist Church are grounded in the biblical view of how God created us, an inseparable integration of mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. Pioneering Adventists realized from the beginning formal education was the ideal way to nurture this concept and develop the talents and characters of students while preparing them to serve others, at home, across the country, and throughout the world. Today, Adventists operate the largest Protestant educational system in the world, with nearly 8,000 schools, from preschools to universities, in more than 100 countries. Battle Creek College, today Andrews University in Michigan, was the first Adventist college, founded in 1874. And in 1896, Oakwood University in Alabama opened to educate recently freed African Americans of the South. Challenging the sentiments of the time, Edson White, son of Adventist church pioneer Ellen White, built a riverboat and organized trips down the Mississippi, offering education to the underserved Black community. Andrews University has grown and now attracts undergraduate to doctoral students from around the globe. U.S. News & World Report ranks Andrews University as one of the most culturally diverse universities in the nation. A major focus of Adventist schools is training new generations of healthcare providers. The first medical school took root at what is now Loma Linda University in California, a world-renowned center for medical education, innovation, and research. Other medical schools dot the globe, operating in Mexico, Peru, Argentina, Nigeria, and the Philippines. Adventist hospitals also train future health professionals. Adventist University of Health Sciences in Orlando, a part of Adventist Health System, is just one example where the whole person philosophy of care is translated from textbook to life. In small classrooms and expansive campuses, from Malaysia to Ukraine to the Native American nations of the United States, 93,000 teachers are helping 2 million students achieve the highest standards of education, learn healthy living, develop Christ-centered values, and change the communities where they will live. And now you know another piece of the whole story.
Welcome back. That was great insight from that video. I know we're focusing a little bit more on the local, Crawford Adventist Academy, but we realize that this is a global endeavor when we're talking about Christian education and Seventh-day Adventist education. So that's great. So a common refrain from many church members and would-be Adventist education supporters is that the phrase "I can't afford it." Adventist education costs too much, especially when I can send my kid to public school for free. Right? Seems pretty straightforward and fair. So I'm going to talk to a parent with regards to this, Sister Lindsay. How do you afford it? You're an independently wealthy person, right? And that's how you're able to buck the trend and send your kid to Crawford, right?
Well, I claim it in Jesus' name. All that well.
Okay.
No, I'm not. When I send my girls started Crawford, I was not working. And I pray, and by faith, I got a job. And through financial support from Crawford, the Worthy Student Fund, contributions from my church, Philadelphia, Seventh-day Adventist Church. I have support of godparents. I have friends who would give me a little donation sometime when they have it. So it's not that I'm rich to carry two children. And what some of us has to remember also, as a member of Philadelphia, of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you also have a discount. With two children in Crawford, I also have like $100 discount from the tuition. So instead of me paying $1,100 all by myself each month, with all the contributions from Crawford, financial support of my church and family friends, sometimes for the month that $1,100 turn out to be $500-$600 for me. So I also took a part-time job. So I would work sometimes 16 hours in a day, where days on I will not see my girls, and I will make that kind of sacrifice in order for me to pay the school. The first of the month, I do my best to pay the school fee. Over the summer, when we have that break from May to August, I would continue paying little by little throughout the summer, so that it make it easier for my payments throughout the next 10 months.
Wow. Okay. Again, we're talking about sacrifice and picking up extra shifts and jobs, and wow, I commend you on that, and thank you for asking that question so openly. So this next question would go to the admin, Mr. Dason and Ms. Bergen Hall. So what are the costs, and are these costs too high? And how do these costs compare to other private schools? So maybe Mr. Dason, you'd be a good person to start here. You can lay it down for us.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, actually, to explain how the TADSB and the Crawford's finances work. Speaking, all the parents, mostly, not 100%, they think the Crawford fee is very high. And of course, it is, for many, it is not affordable, you can say that way. But each and everything, there is a cost in North America. So we have to understand that. And when you look at it, there is over 50 private schools in Ontario. When you look at it, ours is the 50th lowest. I mean, the lowest among all 50 schools.
Wow.
I think if the parents who really have that assumption should Google and find out what is actually the cost of other private schools. And I have seen schools, the minimum tuition is over $1,500. Okay.
Per month.
Considering, yeah, that is per month, each school. There are schools who charge us more than $1,500 even per month. That is across Ontario, or in Canada, you can say, to educate a child, it is costing the school is $16,000. That means every parent has to pay for to manage the school is $1,600 tuition per month. So actually, really what is happening here is parents pay little over 32% of the cost. So who pays the rest? It is the churches who pays around 18 to 20% of your cost, the tuition cost, and another 32% is paid or adjusted by the conference. So it's very not practical, I can say, that to get a donation to run Adventist schools. They will pay for some certain projects, like anything you wanted to buy, or if you are building build a school or something, somebody will donate, not to operate a school system. So considering the fact the parents are paying around 32 to 35%, even about that we are making so many discounts, assistances, like what Ms. Lindsay said, that we have various you know, discounts and assistance available to offset even the 32% cost. So we have financial assistance, we have special discount, we have worthy student fund, we have three-way matching fund, we have alumni discount, and you know, these are the major discounts that we do, in addition to helping from the development department. They too, it is costing our schools over $300,000 every year to give them some assistance for deserving parents or struggling parents. So you have to understand, the parent has to know that they pay only around 32 to 35% of their tuition cost. And in addition, there are some parents who get an assistance and pay very little. So another one is that our teachers and employees, administrators are not paid like the public school system. They are paid less. So we need to pay the you know, the administration or the management has to pay a respectable salary or manageable to our employees, and nobody gives discount on our utility cost or any supplies. The recent past, you need to understand that from 2000, after the pandemic, the costs have increased. You know, it is more, grocery has increased more than 6.5%. All other expenses. And even we try to replace a van for us, it has increased within 2 months over $5,000, $6,000. So all the cost, even during this time, we didn't increase the tuition except last year. From, you can say, over 7, 8 years, we didn't increase except this school year, just $25. So we have been, you know, using up all our reserve funds to manage during this pandemic. But
Wow.
but the system is, finances are down during the last 6, 7 years. So we need it's almost 80% of our cost goes to our employee cost. Also, parents have to you know, remember that we have started providing all the requirements, including equipment, devices, and for all our students. Recently, and high school schools, students were provided Chromebooks. Now we have purchased more Chromebooks to from grade 3, and you know, kindergarten and up to grade 2 or 3, they have iPad devices. So everyone was equipped. And over the years, when you look at our cost, we started with whiteboards for all the classrooms. Then we started computers and computer labs, and now with Chromebooks and all this, you know, devices required to improve the education that we have spent and invested a lot. So everything costs.
Yeah.
Who pays for this? Someone has to pay for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that breakdown. It's very informative in terms of how, you know, you split the pie and who's responsible for that. Ms. Bergenhall, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I just wanted, Mr. Dayson, for you to explain the three-way matching to the parents, and also the new immigrant policy, financial policy.
Okay.
So sorry, before you start, I'm assuming these are some subsidies that help mitigate or help
Yes.
students? Okay, great, sir. So go on with that.
Okay, there are some, beginning May 1st, actually, from tomorrow, we will be distributing the financial assistance forms. For parents, please listen. This will help you for who is really struggling or requires some kind of assistance. It is all kept private. We distribute application for financial assistance. If you are seeking any assistance from the Crawford, please take that one from the principal office or the business office or myself. We can send you, by email or fax or anything. This form that you need to fill it and submit to us before July 31st. This is for all kind of assistance, especially for high school students. It is a three-way matching. That is actually three entities who join and pay a portion toward this high school student tuition assistant. I'm really happy after a long struggle over more than 20 years. Recently, our conference has increased the three-way matching from $900 to $1,500. So so make this opportunity. So that is 1,500. How it comes is when you submit this financial assistance form for high school, we consider processing three-way matching. That is, we take an approval and send it to your local church, and your local church has to actually approve in their church board, send their portion of $500 with the form to the conference. The second step, conference take the recommendation of the church and they take an action, approve it, and they match another 500. So they send those $1,000 to the Crawford. What we do, we match another $500 and $1,500 will be credited towards your child tuition. So this is all the Adventist children in the system are eligible to apply for this. So considering kids from elementary, kindergarten to grade 8, we have financial assistance, we have special assistance, and other than that, we have assistance from the worthy student fund or development annual fund. There are many discounts available for everything. You need to apply for with the required document.
Great, awesome. Thank you for that insight, sir. And so, basically, to encapsulate that, what I'm hearing that first of all, in the pantheon of private schools out there, everyone, Crawford's coming in at the most affordable. So we won't use the word cheapest. We'll say the most affordable, right? And also, there are many programs. He named, man, I lost count after about 7 or 8 different types of programs that can help parents and students out there afford going to Crawford. So the myth or the thought in your head that, oh, I can't afford it or what have you, you're seeing now that it might be more affordable than you think. So let's, maybe give a call and see what the school can work in your situation. We got to keep it moving. Tom, thank you so much for that insight on that topic. We're going on to our other F, and this F is facilities, right? Facilities. Nobody wants to send their child to a school in a church basement, right? That's the thought out there. Why am I paying to send my kid into a school and you're just meeting in a basement? Facilities aren't up to snuff. This question again goes to the admin. Starting with you, Ms. Bergenhall, what are your facilities like? CAA at Pickering, Maine, and Peel.
Okay. Well, next year, Crawford would be in existence for 70 years.
70.
So we're dealing with an aging, yes, 70. We're dealing with an aging infrastructure.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's no building of a new school in the horizon. So what we do at the main campus is that every year we make a list of improvements or renovations that need to be done. And every summer we continuously do upgrades to our building. I believe that we do a very good job of it. Of course, it's not a new building, but we make it as comfortable as possible, as clean as possible for our students. And so every year they can look forward to some new improvement that's being done on the campus. So that's the main campus. I cannot speak for the Peel campus. I visited the East campus some time ago, and it's a beautiful building as well. Um, Lovely school, but again, we have to maintain our schools. We have to continuously maintain them and keep them upgraded, because we're dealing with a different mindset of parents, especially our younger parents. They really don't want to put their children in a school that they think doesn't look good, right? Especially if it's not clean and it's not maintained. So those types of things I know are very important. It was important to me as a parent as well, not just an administrator. So that's what we do. As to the Peel School, I cannot really speak to it. I know at the present moment they are at the Ruth Church because their building is still in the process. They're still trying to get permits and different things so they can continue their building process. And we're praying that that's going to be done sooner than later.
Okay.
I would like to add to that.
Absolutely.
Actually, infrastructure facility is a major component to run our school system or school. In our GTA, TADSP, which started, as Mrs. Hall said, it's almost 69 years, by next year, 70. So we need to appreciate the churches who had the vision to start the school system in Toronto. And it has grown to be 3 schools, or you can, technically speaking, 4 schools. So our building is very old. So everybody knows. So we planned some 10 years back to have a new building. During that time, the estimate was around $21 to $30 million. So in North America, we also need to understand this is one of the important procedure or something. To start an Adventist school, the conference or the union or the division don't provide any funds other than a small amount if you are able to do that. Okay, only after achieving. It is the responsibility of the local churches to start a school, and the conference will pay around 40% of the teacher cost. That is the policy. So here, the responsibility to start a school or run a school is churches. So here in GTA, what happens is, we have around 65 churches, Adventist churches. Out of that, only 33 churches who support the school system financially, okay, subsidized. And they get in return their subsidized rate for their member children. So that is the, anything. To improve the infrastructure, it is the management which is comprised of all the church members, delegates in the board, to arrange an infrastructure. So, to build a school, you require minimum of some millions. So how do you get $1 million to provide upgraded or better facility for our children? So what within the means that what we have, we were able to save some dollars, you can say. So we are, as Mrs. Hall said, we are unable to get 30 million or 20 million, even 10 million. So we were not able to go ahead with the building plan. what we decided is to renovate the building based on the requirement. So you believe it or not, the main campus, we spent over $300,000 per year to maintain our building facility. So even apart from that, every year we have been investing certain amount to renovate or renew any facility. So last year, the summer, we spent $100,000 to completely renovate our gym floor. I think most of the parents who visited might have, seen that new state-of-the-art gym. So after the summer, we invested $400,000 to bring a three-way electricity. Okay, because the system electricity what we have is single phase for more than 60 years. So we have reached our maximum in using the electricity. So we were not able to add any equipments or devices because sometimes one class runs a microwave, the fees will go on that wing. So that is the situation. So we have spent $400,000 to renew. So a few years, 10, 15 years back, and we started a small school at the east in a basement of a church, that area, Ajax. Then later, we were able to invest $4 million to buy a property for East Campus. Hope you all might have seen that facility. It is, as Mrs. Hall said, it's a very good building. So we spent money to renovate that too in certain area. Recently, their boilers were gone, and we have invested around $80,000 to replace those ones. That building is good. I'm happy to tell you another information. We borrowed out of 4 million, 1.7 million from the revolving fund.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. I know we could go on this a long time, and you've been very informative with all the expenditures, and I can speak definitely to the basketball court. I was so happy when that happened, but we have to move on. I'm sorry. You've been very informative, but Miss Bergenal had mentioned that she can't really speak on what's going on in Peel, and so what we have next is a video from the principal of Peel, and so I just want to make sure we get her in this segment, and then we can move on. Sorry for interrupting, but we'll circle back in one moment.
Adventist Education has helped to foster relationships with the students and our chaplains. This is a unique opportunity that is not found in secular schools. When students are dealing with personal challenges, thankfully, we are able to pray and encourage our students without any restrictions. Peel Campus has now acquired a property in the Halton region, and this will soon be our new home. After losing our school to a fire over 12 years ago, we believe that God has led us to this area in order for us to reach families in an area where there are no Adventist churches. In the interim, our school will be residing at the Root SDA Church until our move into our new home. We thank you for partnering with us for the 21-22 school year through your prayers. We thank you for trusting us with your child's Christian education. For those of you who have already made the decision to do so, we thank you and encourage you to tell others of the wonderful decision that you've made. We look forward to another successful school year and a bright future in our new home. If you make Peel Campus your choice for your child, you will have made an investment in their lives for today and for eternity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Principal Wilson, for that information. Again, each one of these segments, we could stay on it forever, but I want to make sure we get it to all the F's, as it were. And so we're going to have to move forward. to our fourth F, which is future. And future is always important because we need to know where we've been, but we also need to know where we're going. Some of the questions that pop into my head sort of are, can we sustain and grow the system that we have, right? And what are the obstacles? Also, probably a very important one is, can churches and members become more involved, right? And how do they do so? So let's throw that question. I haven't heard from our parent here in a while, Ms. Lindsay. Can you think of ways that churches and members can become more involved to help grow the future of our Christian education?
Yes, definitely. And I'm speaking based on personal experience where my church, Philadelphia Church, contributed towards their Christian education. So each month, my church will give $200 towards their school fee. There are members in the church who can make donations either through their tithes on their tithes envelope. You have parents that walked up to me personally and offered to pay whatever amount that they can afford each month to help towards their school fee. And families, godparents, friends do offer some help. So you can also encourage them to make donation towards Crawford Worthy Student Fund. And by God's grace, when my last daughter finished Crawford, my goal is to make monthly donation towards Worthy Student Fund so that I can pay it forward to help other parents who will be or possibly in the same situation that I was in. So parents out there who have finished their Crawford, they can also contribute each month to help other students as Crawford have helped us.
Thank you for that insight. Anybody else want to touch in on that? How can we get help from other sources? Ms. Bergenhall?
I think that one thing that we need to have because right now not every church is in the system because perhaps they don't have students. But I feel whether you have students or not, every church should pay into the system.
Yes.
The second thing is I believe that there are a lot of members in the church who don't have children. And I think if we are bold enough to approach them to maybe adopt a student to, give $200 a month or $100 a month, whatever it is, every little bit goes far. I think we need to be more inclusive where Adventist education is. Some church members would be like, oh, well, if you can't afford to send your child, you shouldn't send the child.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they don't understand the importance and the extent of Adventist Christian education. So I think we have to get our church members invested in the process as well.
It's funny you mentioned that because I have here in my notes, just sort of brainstorming with help, and we have a significant amount of tradespeople in our community, and so some of the notes here were, could there be a situation where our tradespeople descend on the properties that we have right now and do renovations at a fraction of the cost? Mm-hmm. And so when you think outside of the box in terms of how you can mitigate some of the costs that are associated with our future and our growth, you sort of have had to think of creative ways to get there. Right. Is anybody else who wants to comment on this, or can we move on?
Can I add to that?
Shortly, sir, because I also want to get our student in as well who raised their hand.
Oh, I just was gonna add that. So I know, for example, well, I don't know this because my mom's home in school at my church. But what they do at my church, they have like a fund that the church kind of like pools together. So you give what you can. There's no set amount, so you just donate to it. And I think maybe on the home and school days, they give out scholarships to the students that are in Christian education that can help offset their tuition costs for the parents. And for any other churches that might not be doing that, that's a good idea, I would say, so that you still get the opportunity to donate what you can, you know what I mean? If you can't necessarily support a child like themselves, you can like donate to a fund similar to what we do at my church.
Okay, excellent idea. Mr. Dason, quickly before we go to our promo video.
Actually speaking, the school is trying to do their best within the available resources. I think that parents also have to look for other options or help available, like Sister what she mentioned about her church helping. There are only two churches that I know of help in addition to what they pay to their members. So there are resources available outside the school, like church, even some organization. Parents should look for those opportunities too.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
"85% of our graduates go on to university. 80% complete university. 34% are accepted in medical school compared to 9% in the public school. 80% of our students who attend Adventist schools remain in the church. At Crawford, 98% of our students go on to post-secondary education. Adventist schools in Canada score half a grade higher than the national norm. Plus, the more years they attend, the more their average achievement jumps compared to the national norm, up to the 73rd percentile. If you're looking for an education with a difference, if you want an environment where your child will thrive, I invite you to consider Crawford Adventist Academy in North York, Crawford Adventist Academy East in Pickering, and Peel Adventist Elementary School in Brampton area. Toronto Adventist District School Board, committed to excellence in Christian education since 1953.
Welcome back. Welcome back. That video was great. As I said, the numbers don't lie. Christian education is vital and important. We're continuing on our themes. We're at our future prompt, talking about how we move forward, alliances we can make that can help us defray some of the costs that are associated with moving forward in a great way. Another one of my notes I'm reading here is this idea of obtaining scholarships from benefactors to help. Well, for Toronto West, it was the Rexdale area, because that's the area that their church is located in, right? And so there was an initiative to try to find benefactors to provide funding. Like, could you imagine if we could have a scholarship for 3 people in the Rexdale area to attend Crawford Adventist Academy? How powerful that would be in that area. And so my question to the panel is, how do we implement those types of scholarships? And what are the benefits of this type of education evangelism, as I call it? Maybe we can start with Sister Lindsay.
For me, one of the benefits towards Christian education, as I can see within my family, my daughter LaShondia will be the first to enter university.
Wow.
And I've seen where my children leave from public school where they've been teased on a daily basis that God is not real, and they've been told they cannot pray. They're told God made mistakes. To see them laughing in my home and singing praises without me being around, just to see that and experience that, that's one of the benefits that I see that I get from getting Christian education. And I hope that other parents, single parents or not, I did it by God's grace, and I hope that you take from this that you can do anything to Christ who strengthens you.
Thank you. Ms. Bergenhall, do you have any thoughts on this?
When we look at our schools, we really shouldn't call them schools. We should call them evangelism centers. And I know a lot of people are concerned about how many Adventists we have and how many non-Adventists we have in the schools. And truth is the non-Adventists don't give us a lot of trouble. They tend to fall in place, quite quickly. So I think we need to make every effort to include our community. For Toronto West, it's the Rexdale community. For another church, it may be some, another community or whatever those communities are. If children are interested in coming into our schools, we should make every effort to see what we can do to get them into the school. If we have 10 students in a class, we pay the teacher the same money. If we have 20 students in the class, we pay the teacher the same money. So we just have to be creative in our thinking as to how we're going to work our numbers so that it works for the students who are coming in and it works for us as a school.
Great. Thank you for that. We can always go around with, like I said, admin and the parents, but I'd like to get some insight from our student here with this question. What would attract more of your peers, in your opinion, to attend Crawford Adventist Academy or to attend at an Adventist school? So if you were to pitch, or if we were to pitch someone who was a peer of yours that did not attend Crawford, what do you think we could do to attract them? And sorry, this is to you.
Yes. I would say maybe like the family atmosphere and that there's a place for everybody at Crawford. The family experience, you're not gonna get it anywhere else because of how small but big enough the school is. So there you'll still be able to build your close friendships and whatever. But the family experience, whether it's through the staff members and the teachers, other elementary kids that might look up to you, because it's I like to look at Crawford as a huge family. Some JK kids, I don't even know how they know my name, but they just know my name, and it just feels like a family. So I would say that's one thing that could attract other people to come. You won't be left out. Another thing I could say is that there's a lot of opportunities to get involved at Crawford, whether it's being involved in your class executives or being on the basketball team or being a part of the choir, the band, starting up your own groups, having things like class challenge, all these different things that you can be involved in. And no matter how shy you are, I promise there's a place for you. Definitely. You'll find a place, or somebody will find one for you. And then you just eventually, you roll with the punches and you just fit in. And then, that's the Crawford experience.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a great pitch. I think we need to put you on some videos and some flyers and use you for marketing out there. Thank you so much for that. Okay, panelists, we're winding down, coming towards the end of this discussion, and I thank you so much for all of your information and your opinions. It's been very valuable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw to each one of you just closing remarks, touching on any one of the topics we discussed, the greatest takeaway you want anybody who's watching this broadcast to gather. And so again, please, short, one sentence, couple sentences of your final thoughts on this topic. We can start with you, Mr. Dason, please.
It is actually, what do you call it? It's a good start from the Toronto West, and I appreciate the church and their leaders to do this. And I missed one part that I just need to give you one sentence. If you are, any of your church members are new to Canada, please send them to us that we have a special discount for them, for new immigrants, up to 3 years. So our school is helping the way, whatever it is possible for our children. So prepare your children to receive God's messages and evangelism through our schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Let's go to Leanne. This closing sentence, anything you want to speak about, you have the last word. Make it quick.
If you're a student at Crawford, do not underestimate the sacrifices that are being put in for you from your parents or your churches or the other staff members. Don't underestimate it. And as I'm speaking right now, go and give them a hug and just say thank you, because it's a lot. And for those students like me, if you're not at Crawford and you're kind of nervous about maybe entering the environment or whatever, I mean, you can come, you'll have me. Well, like, I'm graduating, but like, I'll put in a good word to somebody and make sure that they constantly check on you. And, so if you want to come, definitely come. We got you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Sister Lindsay, last sentence, parting words to you.
I just want to say to everyone, single parent, it's one of the best decisions you'll ever make. And I always said, if I can afford to spend thousands and $2,000 a month on a mortgage, I can spend it on my kids' education.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we get to Ms. Bergenhall, who will be the last word, I'll give my one sentence on this and just, I try to pour a lot back into Christian education because I'm a product of it. Everything we discussed today is so important, and just knowing of all the sacrifices. Leanne, thank you so much for that. That you should just go and hug your parents for the sacrifice that they put together towards your education to make you the person you are today. And I just really appreciate everybody who is on this panel because they are all integral parts of the system moving forward. Ms. Bergenhall, final word to you, and then I'm going to ask you to, after your final word, to pray, since you're the last person on the panel. That's why I made sure to speak before you. So there you go. Go on ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. Before I give my closing thought, I just really, on behalf of the Toronto Adventist District School Board, to applaud the Toronto West Church. For as long as I have been at Crawford, Toronto West has been supporting Christian education. And you can tell that they do a good job because most of our students are from Toronto West. So thank you, not just for your financial contribution, but for your prayers and just your overall support. We love and we appreciate you. Now, my final thought, Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. STA education extends further. It reaches the soul of our students. It prepares them for the joy of service in this world and the higher joy of service in the world to come. So I encourage you to step out in faith. Faith means I am going to give God his 10%. That's where faith begins. Faith begins by giving God what he deserves, and he in turn will bless that faith. So step out in faith and enroll God's child, not your child, the gift that God has given to you. Enroll that child in one of our schools. God will find a way.
Thank you so much for that. Amen.
And I suppose my student has told me I have to pray, so
the roles have been reversed, Miss.
Roles have been reversed. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Father in heaven, we are just grateful to you. You are an amazing and awesome God. And even when we don't acknowledge your goodness, God, you continue to pour out upon us. I especially ask that you will bless Christian education, the parents, the students, the teachers, God, the churches that invest in children, because that's what you have asked us to do, to plant the seed, God, because before these children were even born, you have a plan. You know what you have planned for their lives, and you have asked us to help in fulfilling that plan. So please bless us, God, and help us to be faithful in everything that we do, and to be reminded that you will always find a way. All that you require is that we step out in faith. We thank you, we praise you, we magnify your most holy name, and we give you all the honor and praise. This is my prayer in your most holy name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much, all those who are listening and watching all over the city and the world. Stay tuned for the next WestLINK episode, and I thank you so much for being with us today.
Did you know that the goal of the Education Department of Toronto West is to award several scholarships a year to the Rexdale students so they can experience an elite education that is available at Crawford Adventist Academy? If you would like to contribute to the scholarship fund, call 416-301-2204.